In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use UTM parameters to track more sales for your e-commerce store and understand better how you acquire your customers. What UTM term means. It is abbreviation, it's Urchin Tracking Module parameters, and it consists of 5 variants of URL parameters and used to track online marketing campaigns across different traffic channels. Here you can see below example website with URL plus UTM parameters highlighted in yellow. You can see that it consists of UTM name and UTM value. Here's our 5 UTM parameters that we got. It is UTM source, UTM medium, UTM campaign, UTM term, and UTM content. Each UTM parameter has its own purpose. UTM source, it is a required parameter. And for instance, it can be Google. And UTM medium is also very important because Google Analytics use UTM medium to identify traffic type and break down and run a particular category. UTM campaign is our product promotion or strategic campaign. Quite often here we name our current sale and so on. UTM term is when you're running search ads. We quite often use UTM term parameter to understand a particular keyword. And UTM content, it's about our content type. It can be our banner promotion or post or video. Quite often if we use this as an additional parameter. Let's dive deep into Google Analytics, and you're probably familiar with channel groupings report when it shows direct traffic, organic, social, and so on. You probably don't know how Google Analytics break down these traffic channels, and here you can see that to mark traffic as a direct, Google Analytics check if sources matches to direct and medium matches not set, or medium exactly matches none. So organic traffic, it's medium exactly matches organic. So if we mess up with UTM parameters naming, it can be break down to incorrect category. So that's why I'm pointed out that it is important to correctly name our UTM medium. For instance, for the paid search, it is important to use CPC, PPC, or paid search to correctly attribute the data into Google Analytics. The same is true for other traffic sources like affiliates, email, social, and so on. Let's dive deeper into traffic sources and how to correctly tag them. We start from Facebook ads, and for Facebook ads we have dynamic parameters to place on your ads. And what it means, so basically we can use this parameter in brackets, and it will be dynamically updated for all the ads. So we can use campaign ID or campaign name and dynamically changes based on our campaign, ad setter, ad or ad name. So let me show you how it can be set up inside Facebook Ads Manager. I get a test campaign, and I need to drill down into the ad level and then click edit, and here I need to set my website URL. Below I need to click build a URL parameter. Here it is provided some parameters that I can use. So of the campaign source, I'm always use Facebook, and it is lowercase. For the campaign medium I use CPC. The campaign name, I use quite often campaign ID. Campaign content, I use ad set ID. Why I use ID rather than campaign name or ad set name? Because campaign ID and ad set ID more reliable. It won't change over time, because campaign name can be changed and it will broke all the tracking. That's why I try to use mainly IDs. Also, I can add additional parameter and call the parameter name UTM term. And here I can add ID value, or also it is interesting to add placement into UTM term. And if I click apply, you can see that my final URL, website URL, has been changed, and you can see additional parameters that has been added. let's check Google Ads and what we got in Google Ads. In Google Ads we got gclid ID. It is a Google Click ID, and it is kind of automated way to use UTM tagging without it is automatically added and linked with Google Ads and Google Analytics. And here is how it looks. I highlighted it in yellow. It is decrypted inside this Google Click ID. Decrypted a lot of parameters that you can observe here, like ad group, final URLs, different formats, placement, and so on and so forth. But the drawback of this method is that third-party tools, analytics tools, and CRMs don't understand this Google Click ID because it is a decrypted version of UTM parameters. And as alternative, you can use the tracking template. Tracking template inside Google Ads, it's very similar to Facebook Ads, but it provides more dynamic values than Facebook Ads. Here you can see the final URL, and the below string, it is this tracking template. LPRL means landing page URL, and other parameters dynamic, it is in brackets. Campaign ID, ad group ID, keyword, device, and so on. Here you can see that we got a lot of different parameters. The most relevant is keywords, placement, campaign ID, ad ID, and so on. I will leave the link in the description below for you to observe this parameter. For Google Ads, what should we use? UTM versus Google Click ID. There's a couple of options. Use UTM only if you are not using Google Analytics and using some kind of third-party tools or CRM. Google Click ID only if you're using only Google Ads and Google Analytics with no CRM and so on. And using both UTMs and Google Click ID. If you're an e-commerce brand and you run some ads, and if you want to track performance of your ads by UTMs, not only into Google Analytics, but also in your CRM or in Shopify, then I suggest you to use both. How to check your sales performance into the Shopify store? You should go to Analytics and then go to Reports and choose report that's called Sales Attributed to Marketing. And then you can filter UTM parameters. Choose, for instance, Facebook or UTM medium like CPC, and you will see sales attributed to a particular UTM parameter. Last but not least, I want to show you how to check your UTM parameters data that you have in Google Analytics. So you need to go to acquisition and then all traffic sources, source medium. And here you can see source medium breakdown report with number of users, conversion rate, and transactions. What you can do is to use secondary dimension and add, for instance, campaign, and you would see the breakdown by. If you want to see more parameters, not only source, medium, and campaign, but search term, add content, and so on, I suggest you to use Google Data Studio, that I have a lot of videos, and will leave a link in the description below you to check this tool. I highly suggest you to watch the video about how to fix attributions after iOS 14 updates here, and also if you need to improve your data tracking for your e-commerce stores, then check the videos that popped on the screen right now as well.